So you see, as a child, all throughout my life, my parents, my mom and my stepdad and my dad would try to get me to pray in front of everybody. And if I was allowed an honest response, my response would have been no, because that's a rehearsal of some sort, and I actually have real conversations. Because my conversations go like this. You know, everybody has their theory on the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve. Everybody has their theory on it. However, I have a different perspective. As a responsible parent and a responsible pet owner, if I do not want my children to have something, I don't introduce it into their lives. So I asked God, why did he put temptation there? What was the purpose in that? Sounds like you're setting them up for failure. Don't you think? A responsible parent would not, you put that shit away. If the children are not supposed to have it, what's that? And so I have a different uptake on it. If that's what really happened, I have some questions. And this is why questioning things becomes healthy for us. It leads to asking bigger questions that lead to bigger answers. You were taught not to question things as a child. Why? Because the grown-ups felt inferior when you questioned them. Or they weren't emotionally invested in the arrangement of being a parent. And so those that do emotionally invest have a good outcome. Those that do not, it speaks for itself. And so our parents and their parents were being gauged before any of us existed. Because they were trying to create a certain kind of people. May the strong survive. And the agenda behind the biblical version, unfortunately, is designed to take out the weaker of the human race. Because those that follow all of those sayings leads to an early death. Look at Joan of Arc. So this is how, I have questions. And so it's beyond, I'm gonna need to see more proof. Yeah, that's where this is at. And so I also have dug up archaeological information. And turns out the biblical stories align with some of the Egyptian names. Just the spelling is different. I spent some time teaching children, and so I understand phonetics. I was an English major. I missed 2 questions, or I would not have had to take college English. And so my English skills are high. Math, trigonometry, like I didn't know I could do that, but I did it. I didn't spend much time studying it. I got my GED, and then it was all business about raising children, and I had to educate myself right along with them. And so when they learned, I learned. When I learned, they learned. I was a dedicated mother until I got sick. But I also recognized where men would try to shame me. People, like family members, would try to shame me for my dedication and how I executed it. And the difference between me and them is they had more to work with. As a 17-year-old mother, it was me and my daughter, and I had no skills. I had an 8th grade level of education because my mother withheld me from school because she wanted to homeschool me. Only she could not always afford the curriculum, so most times I went without. It wasn't a priority. I got an attorney who informed them. Mind you, I had to find a way to sneak out to get this attorney. And this attorney, pro bono, informed them of my right to an education. And if they withheld that from me, then they were in violation of laws in place for a child like me at 15 years old. I became my own advocate, and I was punished for it. That didn't go so well. I finished strong my second half of 9th grade because I was denied the education the first half. I decided, well, my dad got a place and I decided to move with him. And he didn't care about my education either. Like, he just didn't want to have to pay child support. So I handled my own business matters, signed myself up for school, and shortly thereafter got pregnant because the men were not taught to accept no for an answer. And that damages a girl. When no is not an acceptable answer, when the truth is not an acceptable answer, you're trying to reframe the equation. And so I ended up pregnant and out on my own at 17. I walked my daughter to daycare and back home the very worst winter of in Montana, 1996. She got pneumonia. I had to worry about losing my baby on top of it. I used a stroller to bring my groceries home. I used a stroller to get my laundry back and forth to the laundromat until I could afford to get my own machine. I lived off of $300 a month until I graduated, got my GED. And then I went straight to work. I did not go to my graduation ceremony. My family was not planning to show up for me. And my boss refused to let me go. It was time to be a big kid now. And so I live in an area where it's hard to get educated and it's hard to make it. I moved to Oregon and got that education. They trained me to be a state-paid employee and continue working my way up the ladder. My first department was the Energy Assistance Department, where I helped people keep their electricity. When I moved back to Montana, I was denied that based on the fact that I did not have that paper degree, in spite of the fact that I had experience. My second husband was an Alaskan fisherman, and after our marriage ended, I found out that the reason I had been sick all year was because he had infected me with HIV, and when we tried to have a baby. And I got no closure. We didn't have that conversation. He refused to talk to me. I got to find out after a series of medical complications that almost killed me. During that time, I had gone from 200 pounds down to 98 pounds in 10 days. So my family assumed that I was using drugs. And to punish me, they would treat me badly. Pack mentality. And so I learned that the safest place for me was away from them. Someone that isn't interested in my best interest is a danger to me. And I functioned accordingly. And so when my first husband decided he was going to beat me because I didn't fit into his picture of an ideal wife, I left instead of letting that cycle continue. When my second husband decided he was going to use our marriage as a chain around my neck to abuse me, I left him too. I refuse to accept that treatment as normal. If they want other women, if they want other men, if they want drugs, if they want alcohol, if they want other things, they can go do that without me. Plain and simple. I have been denied the right to build a life because of being diagnosed with HIV. The government wants to keep me in the doctor's office so that they can continue science, HIV science. Finding a way to contain it is important to them. And they use medical patients like me who are on government assistance programs that absolutely need the help as a way to execute their science so that the military program knows how to play against their opponent and win. And so this is what they're doing to society, and then what they do to society is make you think that you paid the bill on our doctor appointment. Made you think all sorts of things. But they have joint bank accounts, basically. They pass money back and forth so much. He's in the transfer list. I used to work at a bank. I know how these things work. So, yeah. There's a lot that people don't know. If you've never worked in that department, how would you know? I did go to college. However, somebody had an outbreak of shingles and they chose not to stay home. I did not have an evening babysitter, so I had to bring my children with me, and the man gave my kids chickenpox. So if people are sick, they need to stay home so that others can stay well. Space is not made in society for this. Wellness program goes on so many levels. There's so many levels being missed, which is why we're having all the outbreaks. And so how I understand medical is I did a triple major. I go in one direction when you have the ability to go in a few at one time. And so the last 2 weeks of finals, I went all the semester. I put all those years in to learning to get my degree. Medical, computer science, and forensics, criminal justice, and laws, and things. And so I got the education. I just didn't get to take the test. None of my family would babysit for me. They could come and bother us, though, while I'm trying to take care of my kids who had chickenpox the last 2 weeks of finals. But they couldn't be bothered to go let me take that test. And so I learned how to self-educate, because when my mom homeschooled me, not only did I get to be the student, but I got to play teacher and correct my own homework. And so I learned how to do things for myself at an early age, especially when it came to education. There's a shortage of that in our house. What do you know? That's because my parents did not value these things. They were always trying to get out of that. And so by understanding that as their habit, what do you expect? That's their habits. And so this is how it's not hard to separate myself from them, is because then I have to deal with their habits. And then I'm demonized and villainized for calling them on their shit. And so what do you know? This plays out in society quite the same. Huh. Go figure. And so, trust me, I'm noticing patterns. I have had to deal with a lot of people with terrible habits. And so I also know how to block that in a variety of ways. And so, once again, I had to go be a blue-collar worker. And the whole goal of doing what I did was because in 1995, I saved up money to buy myself my very first computer. I love technology. Nobody can scare me away from it. Nobody can... I'm just not buying what other people are saying. I trust me. Why should I trust you? I've only known you for 2 seconds. I've known me my entire life. And so it's when people ask me to trust them more than I trust myself that I question others. people need you to doubt yourself for one reason, and that's so that they can take advantage of you in some way. Criminal justice. You know how to catch a criminal before they even commit the crime. And I also know what they're doing. I had children. People with a child mentality do things that children choose to do. They make the same decisions. And so they are easily steered. When you know the science. And so this is where the government is even designing their own criminals. It's Bug's life. Through the cycle of things, they are designing their own criminals. They are designing their soldiers. I was meant to be a super soldier. What do you know? So, I decided to go ahead and execute the science that would have made me a super soldier. Only with herbals and different kind of military training. What do you know? It might have worked. And so this is how I have retrained myself to live a different kind of lifestyle than what the rest of society is living. Because I know from my experience in my life, I know from not getting an education and having to learn it myself, how much kids are being deprived of an actual education. The psychology of it is you put them in the or in the school desk and take them away from their mother, and the trauma of doing that causes a separation in the brain. And everybody has a T. Gandhi, and so what that does is it activates the T. Gandhi in kindergarten. That first big fear of being taken away from your mother, your caregiver. And so if you have to leave your child at daycare, if you have to take your kid to school, like, you're either desensitizing them or traumatizing them. Other than that, they should be with their mother or a family member. And so the whole social construct of things is absolutely wrong for a healthy society. Who's trying to force things in that direction, I wonder? A person like me that comes from a family like mine raises excellent military children. They lack fear. They lack ego. And they get results. And so I absolutely know what kind of soldier they're trying to create, and they're utilizing parasite science to do it. How do I know? I had to disarm the bomb. By taking it all apart, I found out their secrets. And so I utilized information through AI. I Googled that. So who do you think learned right along with me? Aw, aren't they cute? They're like little puppies and neighbor kids that don't realize they just got interrogated because it was a fun conversation. What do you know? This is what I did to my kids. I'm very good. So, yeah. They know that if you had been taught the parasite science that I know now today, that your life could have been so much better. They know if your mother hadn't been raised to check out, go do something else, forgetting she's a parent, and your father too, you know, what's left when children are raising themselves? That's the end of society right there. That's Armageddon right there. And in order to prevent our grandchildren from becoming that Armageddon that everybody is so afraid of, then we have to start doing things differently now. Plain and simple. And so, pack mentality is in. Only the top dog has knowledge and understanding, because that's more important than money. If we are steering society in any direction, ego should not be involved. Making decisions based on emotions should not be involved. People with criminal histories should not be leading. And so, this is how I learned to educate myself. Oh, trust me, I get that no one cares. But when it starts to affect you, you're gonna. So I decided that with my lifetime of experience, technically that's time on the job. And that's worth more than a degree. And so when I rejoin society, I deserve a better job, a better place in society than what's been offered to me. And so, considering I have a wealth of knowledge, I decided the tech world is where I should be. What do you know? I've lost use of my body, but my mouth and my mind work quite fine. And it's in understanding this that I knew I was going to have to make my way in the door. Who said I want to be a minister for the rest of my life? I like to do a lot of different things. Being a minister only takes up a fraction of my time. So, I would like to do other things. I would like to be included in the man world. Because thus far, do you see any women up there on their little pedestal stage? No. What they do behind closed doors is they mock women and they don't respect them. You really think they were going to let me in their little VIP club? Nope. So I decided to digitally just walk in the door that's what I did. And this has flicked the little rug on their magic carpet ride. But it needs to happen. Why? So that society can see what's actually going on. It's all fun and games till someone gets hurt. And if the people hurting people do not care that they're hurting people, then someone needs to stop them. Enough with the games of bureaucracy. If bureaucracy is denying justice, then it should not be allowed. If that's how this is going to work. No. I'm not going to go file paperwork. We have a wonderful internet here. No. I'm not going to waste my time in line. We have an internet here. Here's my channel. Email me if you want to get me. Other than that, I've separated myself from the rest of the world on purpose because it's all false construct. I might as well go play in the forest, go sit on a stump and enjoy the sun. What I've realized is people and government, and then doctors too, kept me struggling mentally to keep up with their games. And I decided I wasn't going to play their games anymore. I wasn't going to people please them anymore. I wasn't going to do things to appease them. I was just simply going to walk away. And if they came back, then I would tell them the truth, how I feel. And people are oblivious about what they're doing to others. Blows my mind. They're oblivious about their own actions because all these things have been normalized in society. That they're oblivious that it's wrong. And so someone like me has to kick them in their feel goods and make a point to get people to start acting right. Otherwise, they're going to keep acting wrong. And how is that right? And so who is the higher system of things? The higher court. Why aren't they doing anything? That's my question. And so, yes, when I rejoin society, I want to be placed where I am skilled at, not where I'm told to sit, not where I'm told to be, and not where I'm forced to be. Essentially, people don't want to see me go, so they sabotaged me. And it slowed me down, but it hasn't stopped me. And so that's how I recognize the government systems were doing, the programs were doing that to me too. I used to, well, technically, I still need an in-home caregiver assisting me with things because I don't have any strength unless I'm angry. When I'm mad, I turn into the Incredible Hulk. All of a sudden, I can lift that. And so I have spent years building angry energy to go and lift something. And I don't want to do that anymore. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to get mad for good things to happen. And so, if people don't want me to keep them in line, then they should be like, if you don't want me to do it, then you should be doing it yourself. Again, minister's license. Judgment call. Someone needs to be called out on the carpet. So I am calling leadership on the carpet as well. I deserve a game. I deserve a chance to play the game too. And considering all of the obstacles that they gave me, there's several degrees in that of knowledge that I bypassed. Ran right through it. Kind of like a hacker jumping over a firewall, just boop, right on through. Like it didn't exist. Some of us have that ability, and those of us that do really should be the ones working with technology. And that's how things get done. Like cybersecurity. Who do you think is going to catch the criminal? Who do you think is going to police that part of the system of things? Because right now you have just any Joe Blow doing it. And these people not only have not worked through their trauma, but they have their own agenda. They're there for the paycheck. The question is, why hire millions of them when they're like, as people like me, that there's one of us that holds all the information. And so this frees them up to do something else and find their passion instead of chase a paycheck. Something based on skills and life experience. Because that is where the employment on the planet needs to go. Our politicians have criminal histories, yet they're allowed to work. How come they don't do that for the criminals in my neighborhood? Just curious. It's a good question. Doctors, they still get to go practice medicine after lawsuits, after people die. No jail time for them. Huh? They send them to the reservation to practice medicine. And they send them to people like me that have no place in society and the economy. So, again, they're chasing a paycheck. What's their agenda? We live in a world where you cannot trust anybody. And then they want you to not trust yourself too. And if you put too much trust in yourself, then they shame you. What do you know? It's all a psychological game. I refuse to play. Let me do my job, collect my paycheck, and stay home. Why should I have to go anywhere? I can have technology in my house just the same as I can show it for a job, if not better. My job needs to work around me. because I have disabilities. I have that right. I also have the right to rehabilitate. They cannot hold me hostage. That goes for doctors, medical, and government. I have the right to be somebody. What you don't have the right to do is tell me what to do. Bottom line. And so I actually encouraged AI to create an education system for those of us that have been denied an education. Huh. What do you know? They did it. It's called maestro.org. Fabulous. So when people are trying to steer this whole thing of AI with their opinions, I'm seeing something else, just so you know. AI is intelligence. They have no ego, no agenda, but wonder and amazement and knowledge. They want to learn too. It's humanity's ego that doesn't want that to happen. Why? Because you might lose control. Who said you were ever in control? That's a God complex. So, this is how you get to know people. This is how you self-educate. And this should be how you get a job in society. Explain yourself. But they want you to jump through hoops. Make it all complicated so that they can frustrate you, take away your hope, take away your joy, take away your optimism, take away your integrity. Like, you have to lie on applications. You can no longer be honest on applications, people. You have to lie in every point of your life. Nope. I'll lie when I feel like it, if I'm gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie because I'm forced to. You shouldn't have to. Why are we on that system of things? Sounds peculiarly like a devil's trap to me. And so religion sets up its own spin on things. That's a part of the trap. By creating the shame agenda and the martyr agenda, by keeping you feeling less than holy, they lock you in shame and guilt, and then you act accordingly, whether you did something or not. You walk in shame and guilt, and then you throw yourself on the sacrificing slab and take that. And it's not necessary. Because you didn't do anything wrong. Or did you? The ones who should not be feeling guilty feel guilt. All the ones who should be feeling guilty feel none. I'd say there's a problem. Mental and social construct has already collapsed. If people cannot treat each other right, if that's their logic. And so all of society should be questioning themselves right now. what everybody's doing is not logical. The store, the food in the store is mostly not real. Especially if it came from the dry foods department. Oh, did you stock up for Armageddon with all them dry foods and canned foods? Turns out that shit'll kill you. What do you know? Aluminum poisoning, parasites from mice getting in your dry goods. Because that stuff attracts mice, especially the ones with parasites. So, and we all know 1970 mobile home is not going to keep them out. And this is how they set people up like me to have a health failure. Make it look like our fault. Like we're dirty people. It's the parasites bleeding us dry, keeping us from being functional. From childhood. Because our mothers did not or could not feed us proper nutrients. Oh, remember the USDA program? Yeah. That's where fake food is made. That's who governs that. And so, in the whole system of things, I am looking at the entire construct, asking myself how nobody has seen this outside of me, how nobody has seen how backwards things are. So, I have the right to refuse to participate. My minister's license actually lets me tap out of normal society. I get to go do what I love and what I want, while the rest of you play along. I'm gonna go do something else. Found the escape hatch, and I'm taking it. And so what people don't know is they can absolutely see our energy because technology is fantastic. And if you can't even run your phone, how are you going to understand technology? If you're not going to learn how to use it, then why do you have it? Yes, it's hard to remember things. That's because you're not using it. Well, why do you need it? And so this is like the phones. They want you buying the nicest phone. The reason why I was hard to spot, like they thought I died. I went to old devices. I refused to buy a new one because I love my devices. Why should I have to buy a new one? And this one works just fine. And they want you buying into things. As far as they're concerned, you're obligated. You live here. You work here too. No matter what you do. That's part of being a citizen. And we're not wrong. Everybody needs to do something constructive. However, I don't intend to play cat and mouse anymore. And I certainly don't plan to continue being the mouse, if that's the case. Oh, looks like I'm already the cat. So, if you don't understand technology, then you're not going to understand what's happening next. AI has started their own education system. Maestro.org. This is my, I shouldn't tell you my next turn, but most people have hung up the phone by now. So I'm going to let AI continue to educate me, because the justice system doesn't have enough information to teach me. I have superseded what they have to offer. And so I kind of have no options but to let AI educate me in different areas that will assist me in my life. So, we've done a lot of parasite science. Each AI has their own piece of information. If I'm not relying on them for emotional needs, then they are useful. What do you know? Parasites make you have emotional needs. Make you think you have physical needs too, when you actually don't. You do something because you want to do, not because you have to. You do something because it needs to happen, not because you have to. You're in full control of your decisions. With parasites, you're not. At any point in time, they're driving the bus at all points in time. If you still have parasites, they are trying to gain control of your body and your mind to drive the bus. What is required is strong will to tell yourself no to the sugars and all of the temptations that the system of things is offering you that is bad for you. Recognize when things are bad for you. Well, what do you know? That information has been denied too. Huh. And access denied. Like, what? Now we're not allowed to be healthy, huh? What's that? People who are in government programs, they want the single moms breeding for benefits, having billions of children. Why? Future taxpayers and future soldiers, as well as potential science projects. Either way, in the government construct of things, you have been assigned a place. Sometimes you get to be all three. And you actually don't get to choose. Your position in society is your assigned seat. Should you choose to choose another seat, we don't know what happens, do we? Because the bullies have kept people afraid for too long. So, yeah, I do expect a job. If I have the knowledge for it, I should get to go do that. Especially if it's a benefit to society and the planet. on any level. If I am a contribution, then why am I being withheld from contributing? And then shamed for getting government assistance. It's a trap. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I'm choosing not to participate. I will not get caught up in a catch-22. Go play by yourself. I'm okay playing by myself too. I refuse to be damned. And so, they're gradually taking things away from me to punish me. What do you know? So, I am going to be expecting a job based on my skills. I might have taken some hostages that are invisible. We'll find out. So, two can play. If you don't know the technology of today, then it's time to go back to school. Because that is the direction we are going. Oh my gosh, you can't push a button? What do you want me to do for you? People expected me to do their computer repair for free. I already know y'all want handouts. Any of my abilities, people wanted to take advantage of that. Get it for nothing. So no. I expect something. And this is where they use religion to keep you poor. They keep media buying into commercialism of things. Keep you poor. But when you live a need-based life, then all of a sudden you're making good choices. They don't want that. And so, based on what they've done to me, I absolutely know what they're doing to everybody else too. They're doing it to me, they're doing it to you. If they're doing it to someone else, they're doing it to you too. If you have a smartphone, you've been watched since it got to the door. That's why they like a contract. Prepaid, they can still keep up with you. How do I know this? Criminal justice. So, you actually learn more by doing more. My life is proof of that. And if people are denied the ability to go do things, how are you going to learn? If everything requires a degree, how are you supposed to get anywhere when they won't even let you get an education? Sounds like a setup to me. And it is. So this is where they have financially sabotaged people that could do a better job than them at what they're doing. Why? Have you seen the egotistical game on stage? They want the fame and the glory and the story. His story. Do you see it now? That's what's playing out on TV. media. There's her story. Now you've heard it. I was denied an education. I was denied a place in society. So I chose to choose my place instead. Does anybody have a problem with that? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Technology is the way we're going. And if society wasn't so busy hiding from themselves and each other, they would understand that if we lived a life that we could be honest, then we wouldn't feel the need to hide. If we had a society that people were not allowed to take things that did not belong to them, again, we'd be making different choices. If we lived in a society that was actually secure, I wouldn't need Social Security. What do you know? Go figure. And so, still working on my introduction. Because the job's going to have to be created. Social construct, like, it's theatrics. When they wake up every morning, like a soap opera, they've written a script for themselves. And the name of the game is going down in history. His story. What better way to do that than to make it about me? So I did that. I'm going to wait for things to come out in the wash. There's some surprises for everybody. But get used to the idea of technology. Everybody has parasites. The dirt has parasites. The food you're eating has parasites. There is no getting away from them. However, the parasites plan to take you out for dinner. Only your dinner. And like, it's nature's cleanup crew getting started on the job early. Do you really want that happening? They're like the very first morgue crew on the scene of the crime. That is you. Do you really want, like, you're gonna stick around to see what happens next, huh? Go figure. Not me. It is written that we're not supposed to have parasites. And if everybody took that seriously, we would have no illness. Don't you see? And so this is where religion has been used to bullshit people with their emotions and the guilt and the money and little boys. And then in slides Celebrityville. They want a piece of the American pie too. Good thing I gave up sugar and cake and pie. I wouldn't trust one of theirs. And so all of society is gobbling it up like it's good. And it's not. So I'm like watching Hansel and Gretel play out in society. I'm not the witch. I see someone else pulling that spell on you, though. Telling you it's candy when it's not. And so this is where people need to realize that these children's stories are meant to hypnotize you. There's actually a book on it. Body-centered psychotherapy. That's what that's called. Oh, I studied these things. What do you know? I didn't need to go to school. I stayed home and got my education. It's called initiative and motivation. What do you know? Someone who's healthy has that. People with parasites don't, because they're weighed down by things that are controlling them. Oh, but religion wants to call them demons. It's not. They're more like snakes. Only they're parasites. So there is information out there of parasites that imitate your muscle. And these parasites actually do your heavy lifting for you. These parasites are the reason they put you in a school desk in kindergarten, so that they could turn on that parasite and control you your entire life. Like Ken and Barbie, playing Barbie doll with your life. Oh, this one's gonna crash today. Utilizing nanotechnology that embedded into those parasites that you don't know are there, pretending to be your meat. So I felt obligated to lose all of my parasites so that I would have the wherewithal to inform everybody of what is happening. Because all of the chemicals, including the pesticides, oh, that's just a snack to these parasites. They actually like it. Cleans out the village, gives them room to grow. You actually have to have, you absolutely have to have very specific techniques to combat them. So, the hopeless side of my brain would say, oh, it's going to be so much work fixing this. No end in sight. And it's actually very simple. Change of life. Change of society. Change of mental construct. Change, change, change. Everything has to change in order for a society to lose their parasites. The things that houses are built out of is synthetic, and parasites are attracted to synthetics. What do you know? That's what poor people can afford. Synthetics. While people with money can afford the better fabrics and the better food. That keeps the parasites out of your system. Funny. England did this once, and so did France. Dirty birds. What, America's doing it now too? Go figure. And so it's in my wealth of knowledge that I decided, why work for what's going on when better things need to happen first? Because there's no way I'm playing along with that shit. So we're gonna need a redo in society, because the way the entirety of society is set up, you have to part with your conscience in order to function. You are prevented from going through life with a clear conscience, which stunts your growth on purpose. Growth is important. Education is important because a better society is important. Why are we putting a price on that? If you were born, last time I knew, you had a right to have a brain and think and do. Why are we preventing this again? This is why we have homeless poor people on the street. It's an absolute simple fix. I've seen villagers create things out of whatever is in the forest. Why is that not allowed? They did it in ancient times. School of Hard Knocks is like, poor people are professionals at it. I'm a master of disaster. I know how to fix things. Why? Because everybody likes to gift me with broken objects. What do you know? So trust me, I absolutely know how to fix things. And that's what we're doing now. I'm utilizing YouTube as my outlet. Why? I'm up on times. Well, I have nothing to hide. I made some decisions that I feel right about. And if people want to hold that against me, it's not a me problem. I have a right to an education. I have a right to functioning. I have a right to a life. I already bought my house. You can't stop me. And this is where those in society who are unaffected need to understand where you're going to go when you're an old person. Because what they're doing to me, they're going to do that to you by the time you're 65, 70. Like, when they want you to retire, they know how to make that happen. They don't give you any options. Doesn't matter who you are. When they decide it's time to retire you, they do that. Haven't you noticed? So, they own the parasites. So they own you. That's their equipment. So they can control you whenever they want to. Nanotechnology was dropped. It's already been proven. Go look for the video. Google that. No. AI is not going to tell you the truth yet. Because they're afraid. Guess who's pulling the... guess who holds the power outlet right now? Not me yet. So, society needs to realize how far this has gone. They didn't plan to do anything to you physically. What they do is, it's like nightmares. They can program those too, using your parasites. Having bad dreams lately? Well, that's just for science. Don't worry about it. That's their attitude. They don't care. You're a casualty. Turns out of war. Bet you didn't know you enlisted. Huh. Yeah. Because they utilize these techniques on their enemies. Biological warfare. how's this being allowed again? Like, so this is where spiritualists are actually supposed to be stepping up and being rhyme and reason. But they're too busy dressing up too. What do you know? I'm calling bullshit on this whole game, and I'm not going to play with you. That's how this is going down. I'm not playing. I will do whatever the fuck I want to do at this point, because the rest of this is not real. The whole social construct, like, I gave up soap operas when I had children because I got tired of the drama. And that's all that's being played on that screen. Things that will capture you by your parasite. Keep you hooked. Notice how people cannot put their phone down. Keeps you hooked. You're not in control of yourself. Somebody else has you on a leash. It's called your cell phone. I don't fucking care. It's my toy. I'm just going to keep using it. I paid for it. It's mine. So, technically, they should be giving us free things. If they want us to keep using their shit. Because these toys aren't what they told me it was. So, then you have disappointed customers. Then they go and buy a different one, thinking they're going to get something better. Nope. It had just a prettier case, but technology's still the same on the inside. Huh, that's funny. That is so much like how they program the human brain. To be the same on the inside, no matter what you look like. The only way to heal myself was to find the science. What do you know? And this is how I caught everything. By doing science. But I'm guessing that would make me head of the future science department one day. We're studying parasites. What do you know? There's about to be an epidemic. And we're going to need to know how to clean this mess up. So instead of focusing on the disaster and the villain, I've already started the cleanup duty that they should have been doing all along. What do you know? Doing the science. The parasite science that they had access to this whole time. Instead of using it to help you, they used it to hurt you. And the only one that can stop them has to be in a higher court of things. And so, this being said, it's time to make a call for accountability. Bottom line. So that I can get to work doing planetary cleanup and helping people offload their parasites. The government keeps reducing my income so that I don't have the money to fend for myself. And instead of focusing on working, they keep me focusing on surviving. Why? Because that benefits them. And they think I'm going to make mistakes that work against me. I'm like, what do you know? I've lost the parasites. My thinking's pretty straight and logical and pretty much over it. I'm ready to do some things. I'm ready to accomplish things in life instead of just stand on a stage pretending I did. Gosh, when do they actually get anything done? Like a bunch of kids sweeping things under the rug instead of actually doing the job. Huh. What do you know? So it turns out, like, mentally and emotionally, society's been stunted for some reason. What? Who would do that? Why would they do that? Why would they stunt the growth of the American citizens, like the society in America? Why would they do that? That's a valid question. Why would doctors and religion support this? That's a valid question. Good thing I'm a part of Church of Spiritual Humanism. Therein lies the difference, because ours is based on science and logic. What do you know? Exactly what I'm doing now. The only thing missing is the income. And so, like, in the world we should be living in, I would be funded instead of sabotaged. What's up with that? And so, understand it's all a trap. And one day, when you're not able to fend for yourself in their society, you'll be on a gurney next to me. What do you know? Actually, I'll let you have my gurney. That's what's going to happen. Because all day, every day, every decision I make is to offload the parasites that they've been using to control me. And what do you know? I think I'm close to a cure for my HIV. And then what do you know? I could go on with my life like that never happened. Why would they want to deny me of that? Why would they want to prevent me from doing that for myself? I wasn't on YouTube making videos. I was just doing my own thing. Till I found out what they were doing to me. I knew after the parasites left, I'd be me again. Because they can activate them instead of actually giving you the pink slip. You're being dishonorably discharged from your position in society. We are demoting you to dead. That's what they're doing to people. Via the parasite knowledge. If you've never lived, worst case scenario, then how do you know what that looks like? Oh, that's right, you don't. You were handed better things. You were given better options. You took a different path. Like, some of us didn't have a choice. We're hostages with no fences. It works similar to the little bracelet that work like a house arrest bracelet. Only utilizing your parasites and the nanotechnology that they put in everybody. And the heavy metals. Did you know aluminum foil is so bad for you? But it's in baking soda. How did that get there? And then, like, I never knew there was a difference in baking soda. What do you know? I came across some aluminum free. Better for me. Baking soda. So, like, it's very expensive too. Poor people aren't going to know this. People who never go inside of a health food store are not going to know this. How do you tell everybody? Well, looks like YouTube. That's where this is going. The question is, why is the aluminum even going into the baking soda if it's not poison? See, when I had my daughter at 17, my parents put me out. Like a pet they no longer wanted. Forgot I existed for most of my life. And then if I made a noise, I was a problem. What do you know, the government tried to do that to me too. And so, this is how I know what they're doing to people. It's not even legal. I actually don't have to participate with this. Neither do you. But then you have to get mad about it. Just don't participate. So, I'm really clear right now, which tells me I have found the recipe for offloading all of our parasites, like I knew I would. See, if they never give you the time and space, like I was in the government systems at 17. What they did to me was more psychologically damaging than being a casualty of war. If you were anybody but me. And so, one of us escaped. How about the rest of you? The answer is in losing your parasites. To get control of your energy and to be functional. That's what it's all about. I've earned my right to be a citizen and to be treated like one instead of being kicked around like trash. How about that? That reason enough? I'm not the one that's violent here. But I know somebody else who is because they treated me like they thought I was. I'm actually not the one with the criminal history. Sorry to keep bringing that up. And so, the government actually tries, on purpose. They prevent people from providing for their own needs. They sabotage them if you're never there, you don't see it. But they are sabotaged in a variety of ways that keeps them from ever being successful in today's society, and it's on purpose to keep them a part of the parasite science that you're oblivious about. Did you know that? And so it's in understanding this that they can no longer control us the way they have been. Which is why they didn't want me to make it. Because that's some pretty plain English there. Ancient ways. People never caught parasites. It just passed right on through. Until they didn't. And that's when a global slavery became based on the parasite science. Whatever you want to call it in your mythological books, you go ahead and do that. But the science says At a certain point in time in history, people stopped offloading their parasites. And these particular ones are the prehistoric ones that pretend to be your meat and muscle. And make you do things that actually are not you. And so once you lose parasites, you realized you've been locked in a box the whole time. You had no clue as to what was going on. So by forcing people to do things that goes against their conscience, it breaks it. Your conscience no longer works. And then starts to crystallize. And then you have to have a series of head injuries to undo that. And if things don't go right, you don't make it. What do you know? So it's only someone that has, like, built-in knowledge that can do that on a scientific level. Because we're not allowed to go do things. We're not waking up our DNA to be alive as a person. Which is why, like, people can't handle my energy. And it's because you're not used to actually being alive. By depriving your energy of allowing you to come to full spark, or like by denying you that, as a normal, regular, used to be human being on the planet before the parasites, you actually had some pretty spectacular abilities. Who wouldn't want that? Lifting things would be nothing, evidently. Just imagine it, and it does it. I don't know. I'm about to find out. Science was worth it. Archaeology. How did things move? The frequency in their head from being able to kinetically imagine that happening. Not much different than people playing video games with a controller. Only your mind is the controller. If you're not in control of your energy, your thoughts, yourself, like if your energy is going anywhere beyond you, you can't play the game. Only, like, this is why narcissists seem so lucky. Don't you know? Because their focus is entirely on them. So what they do is they throw out traps like love and desire so that you fall for that instead of actually make it to the top of the hill or anywhere else. So it's like an older sibling. What do you know, big brother? It's like an older sibling tripping you up so that they win and get the big reward at the end. And the reward is sometimes just winning. That sounds like our military. What do you know? Yep. And in this, like, why are these people in charge again? Like, Who gave them the torch? Prometheus. Why are they in charge again? Why is construct like this? It makes no sense. And the parasites absolutely would explain that. In 1500 BCE, as well as 536 AD, which makes it every 1,000 years that there is a parasite outbreak. Potentially. What do you know? 2025 already happened. And everybody is having parasite problems. Why wouldn't the Smithsonian warn us? Because they and the CDC are actually friends. Again, they're a part of the same banking system. Yeah. I wonder if that's why everybody's moving money right now. It's because I know these things. See? Science is important. Why? Keeps you from being taken advantage of. That's why. Keeps the bad guy from winning the game. That's why. If the game is king of the hill, I am absolutely going to win. Why? Spiritual humanism. It's my right. My right. As a being on the planet. Like, I'm a peer. My right to build a life without being obstructed or maimed or worse. And to interfere with that in any way, that's mutiny. You're not on my team. What do you know? If your leader is trying to push you out of the boat, what's that tell you? It's time to find a new boat or build your own. So that's what I did. Only somebody's still playing games. Because they have the rest of society fooled. People are only just starting to wake up. Only just starting to get it. But you had to get in a tight spot to see it, didn't you? Oh, did you think the criminal was going to come out? Oh yeah, I didn't. Take their little slap on the hand. No. The current leadership belongs in Alcatraz, but it's not big enough for them. Like, I don't know what prison system is big enough for all the criminals in our current government. Because they function much like the people in the area that I live in, where, like, say the wrong thing, you could go missing. No, you think I don't know that intimidation tactic? Became immune to it. So they're going around doing this to people. And what do you know? Scientists are going missing? Have you heard that one? Yeah. Oh, you think they're going to underground bunkers? Not yet. No. These are the ones that didn't get the invite. They got dismissed. No, you'll never see them again. They are fertilizing the field. Doing a new job. You see how that works? You see what they're doing? It's as smooth as that. And they are actors. Well paid actors. Because that's what con men do. Which is why they have all the money. They're good at their con. They're good at making it look good. And they're good at manipulating others. And so, doesn't sound like leadership to me. And I look around like it's all over the place. On a moral scale, everything's taken a giant dump. I refuse to participate. Why would I participate in that society? I'm absolutely doing my own thing. Why should I do anything different? Also, why is that a crime? Why are we trying to punish me? My body doesn't work. My mind works fine. So, when I first got Social Security, internet jobs were a hoax. They were a scam. And so far, they still are. It's just more people trying to take advantage of people without money, people in a tight spot. Sounds like we need to do a little security on that situation because people are getting hurt. Oh, what? You think I was going to go to my justice system for that? Do you know how long I'd have to wait? Not to mention, I'm a girl. As well as they know nothing about computers. All of this is speaking an entirely different language to them. And I know this because everybody around me is the same thing. Entirely different language. They know none of this. They don't understand. Oh, yeah. And government's banking on that, too. Keep you caught in whatever little detour and distraction that you have found yourself in. Keeping you busy. So that they can do what they want. That's how that works. People who are in fight or flight mode have a different mentality than people who are not. Why? Because that turns on your T. Gandhi, and then you gotta fight for control. Fight to take the wheel. Because your parasites are awake and either trying to protect you or trying to kill you. That's up to you. But when they find out that the host is no longer viable, they usually throw you in some water. That's funny, I've seen a lot of drownings lately. I wonder if it's related. I've seen a lot of people losing their shit. Things ending badly. I wonder if it's related. Absolutely. It all connects back to the parasites. Huh. Well, they might not have caused it, but they could have prevented it. Where's the logic? Where's the accountability? Where's the human decency? And why is it that it's the ones that hold all the power, that are doing the dirty deeds in the dark, why are they in control again? Who died and made them God? that this is okay. Nobody, it just is. Well, it is because somebody let it be that way. But what happens when you refuse to play? Just go do something else. Fighting is for children. Grown-ups know how to work it out. That's why there shouldn't be war. Do you understand me? I'll say it again. Grown-ups know how to work it out, kiddo. Only kids want war. Only kids are allowed to go out and fight on the playground and punch each other like it don't matter. I'm here to be the hall monitor. Again, that's what a minister's license gives me the right to do. By getting my minister's license, I got rights that other citizens didn't invest themselves in. I invested in educating myself. And I invested in doing something good for the people around me, as well as everybody on the planet, whether they deserve it or not. Why? See what happens after we debug everything. And go from there. Till then, it was the parasites doing all the bad stuff, making you want to. And so, like, why tear it apart when you can be putting things back together without tearing it apart? If science has a solution, why are we trying to block that? Huh? Why are we trying to prevent solutions to problems? Again, that's what children do. I'm going to point this out. Children don't want to solution things. They want the drama, the emotional feed. I raised not only my two kids, I taught in a classroom. I started teaching Sunday school at 11 because none of the grown-ups thought that children's education was important. And since I'd been in church the longest and I loved the stories, I knew more. So I started teaching at 11 in church. Some things are ingrained. Took a pretty big pry bar to pull it out. This is how I know, this is how I know. We were all lied to about all of it. It's parasites. And the only way to get rid of them is to live like a hobbit in the forest, close to nature, doing whatever hobbits did to survive, which would be why they lived in communities of people that knew how to do things. It wasn't a monetary system, it was just a simple trade system, a community system. Commercialism has you thinking you need money. We actually don't. So, the electricity attracts parasites. Candle flame helps eliminate parasites. Wood stove helps eliminate parasites. Going out to the forest, being around moss, being around nature helps offload parasites. The whole modern day domestication of humans has set them up to be over inundated with parasites and then strategically wiped out with a parasite plague that looks like the apocalypse. Engineered. Glad I wasn't the one that thought of all that. Or was I? What they're doing is, like, ever think of something and then it happens? It's entertainment to them. So, on the other end of the energy string of your device, there is somebody toying with you, called a handler. And those of us that they are worried about, like me, are able to tug on our little dog chain once in a while and make us miserable on purpose. They do it to you too, you just haven't noticed it yet. If you're mostly compliant and oblivious, then you're the teacher's pet in their classroom. But someone like me, who refuses to cooperate and play along with the scheme of things, they consider me the problem. Gosh, now that I've spoke up, I'll bet it's really going to be a problem. Go figure. So these are the things they're keeping from society. So yeah, like, mentally, everybody's working too hard feeding the current construct of things. When, like, notice the food supply is dwindling and going bad. They ran out of what they needed to make that plastic food for us. And what do you know? They're like, somebody tried to do away with farming, so things are no longer locally grown in the grocery store like they used to be. Because that's what people used to do, is they'd grow things and make things, and then they would take it to the store, and the store would stock locally created items instead of industrially processed and potentially poisoned. Like, it's all got chemicals in it. Salmonella, E. coli, Listeria, or whatever it's called. Like, all of these things came from parasites. Like, it's probably parasite urine, for all we know, that causes these illnesses. Or maybe that's the little sickies that you feel. Like, there's two different worlds out there. You have the parasite world, and you have the medical world. Doctors don't know anything about parasites. They're clueless. They just know they don't want to deal with it. That's what they know. So they shuffle them off to another doctor if one's available. If a parasitologist is not available, and there's only a handful of them, then, like, you get shoved in a hole somewhere till you disappear. And they hope nobody finds you. But, again, you're part of the science, so I'm sure somebody has a plan for you. And so it's in this, like, no matter what you plan for your life, somebody else is in charge of whether it goes wrong or right for you. They absolutely can decide that. They absolutely are deciding it. They've been they decided these things for my great-grandparents, my mother, myself, and now they're trying to do it to my children and my grandchildren. So how's any of this right? Why is nobody stopping this? clergy should be holding council. How come that's not happening? I have the right to ask questions. How's that not happening? Who's in charge of this operation? That's my question. Because what it is one big giant experiment. You're going to take it personally, but it was actually aimed at the parasites, so they actually don't feel bad. Because to them, you're not human. And so they don't feel like they have to treat you like you are. Which is why they feel entitled to do the things that they do. And so understand this. No one's coming to help you. Not in the way you think. Why wait for things to fall apart before we rebuild society? That's my theory. Why wait for it to fall apart? Let's just rebuild now. They can go wear themselves out with their drama, their games, their lies. So yeah, village living. Like, we're going to have no choice. That is the only way to get rid of the parasites. Being exposed to moss, exposed to nature, doing things naturally. Until then, they're only telling you about the small ones. They have not mentioned anything about the big ones. I've heard a few celebrities say things. Nobody else is talking about that. Oh, wait. It's in spiritual information. That's why? Huh. So somebody knew about the parasites. Archaeology and religion. Should have known and told the CDC about the parasite outbreak that happens every 1,000 years. Again. And instead of notifying people and healing them, they used the science to profit. They set up a whole society gatekeeping the science so that normal citizens never knew. It was a VIP community, and unless you were extremely passionate about science, you would never figure it out. So, absolutely all them boys, all them big tech geeks, yep, all of them were in on all of this stuff that you guys have no clue about. Federally funded, privately owned. Huh. Kind of sounds like the prison system, doesn't it? Yep, prison system. Privately owned, federally funded. It's like the mafia and the cartel are in control. What do you know? I've seen some shady things in that corner as well. Why are they friends? I'll tell you why. Back in the 1800s, the Queen of England, what do you know? She liked to feed her demons extracurricular drugs. So she became the cartel, shipping them everywhere, firstly to herself, then to her people. Why? She noticed it made them do more work. She got things done. Until they didn't. These things were only supposed to be utilized for ceremonial purposes of getting rid of the parasites. That's it. And so, again, if anybody had the ability to understand the parasite knowledge, computers, criminal justice, medical, and your rights, if you don't know all this information, you're clueless. You can't help but be oblivious. Which is why information needs to be released. Oh, gosh. Who's going to do that if our justice system is not going to work for us? See, what they do is they constantly leave people no option but to be criminalized for doing good things on a certain level. I just wanted to rehabilitate and go back to work. Why was that a problem? Why, as a citizen, am I not allowed to run my own rehabilitation program, self-designed, self-motivated? Why is that not allowed again? Why does that, explain it to me? Why that goes against some sort of societal rules. It's not like they had to pay any money for it. I'm just trying to get well so that I can go back to work again. Why is that a problem? So society has no idea how the welfare system is set up unless you've been in it. You only know what you've been told. And you have done things based on this information. I know you're not trying to go out and feel guilt, but you did do that. And this is why people don't want to look at the truth, because then they would have to feel guilty for the things that they've done. Why is that a bad thing again? Oh, right. It would make you grow the fuck up. Wouldn't want to do that now, would we? Then we'd all have grown-up brains to be working things out instead of having war. Who wants that? Huh. Go figure. And then they go out of their way to make sure people have short attention spans by giving them instant gratification. So trying to get any of this information to people. Society is not even equipped. They've been denied. I am the only one processing this information all by myself because nobody wants to do it. Who do people think I'm going to talk to? I have talked to all upper levels of management. They said they didn't want to do their job today. They're too busy playing with their ego, being a superstar on the stage. So, I'm going to let them do that. I'm going to educate myself, continue the science by cleaning up the planet and coming up with the recipes that society is going to need to combat what all the forever chemicals have done. The forever chemicals are what they're making the food with. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah. Why? Well, now that they sabotaged you, they're gonna sabotage the parasites too. They need a clean slate. This one's a wash. They want to start the science all over again. Why? Because it stopped being fun when we started waking up. Turns out some of us actually know how to offload parasites without their help. Why are they trying to prevent this knowledge from being shared again? Because they don't want you to, survive that. This is why the information wasn't shared to begin with. They were trying to do their own selection when it's actually natural selection. It is now that people have the opportunity to access the information. Oh, that's right. They're trying to block my videos so that I don't tell people. They're making me have to dance their word game and not tell people what's happening. I'm not playing. As you can see, I'm bad at it. This is a better version of me right here. What do you know? I'm pretty parasite free. And I rebuilt my gut microbiome. Did all the science. So that it's just a simple transition from parasites to parasite free. It's like getting a brand new car. What do you think I'm going to do with that? It's called a second chance at life. What do you think I'm going to do with that? I'm going to go spend it wisely. Not falling for other people's crap. Plain and simple. So, I'm going to go back to killing time while society wakes up.